So I've got 6 brand new metal bootlegs to go through this time, plus a 7th release that's in a bit of a gray area, and I'm going to discuss why that is. So definitely stick around. We're going to do the needle drops. We're going to do some record details, sound ratings, all of that. So definitely, it's going to be a good time. Starting things off with Slayer, this is Have a Good New Year, Berkeley. Came out in 2020, released through Mind Control Records, limited to 500 copies. Just want to go through some of the details here. It was recorded at Ruthie's Inn in Berkeley. Ruthie's Inn, of course, was a bit of a thrash metal institution. A lot of bands came out of Ruthie's Inn, Exodus and Metallica. Of course, we know Slayer is an LA band, but they were a bit of a friend to the Bay Area thrash scene. They played up in the area quite a bit. I do want to go through some of the details. So this is an FM broadcast, by the way. The sound is pretty decent. We're going to go through the sound quality later. It starts off with Aggressive Perfector. Aggressive Perfector was a non-LP track. I think it was on a compilation, but it was also a B-side to one of their singles, I believe Criminally Insane. Decent track. It's also on Live Undead, so I'm not as amazed that it's here. There are quite a few songs from Show No Mercy on here. In fact, every song except for Tormentor, which is curious. I also do want to mention the appearance of a song on here that wouldn't be on an album for a number of months after this. Of course, the track is Necrophiliac. It would end up on Hell Awaits. So it's pretty cool to hear it here. I'm sure this is an early version of it, an early live version. So the folks at Ruthie's Inn were probably pretty excited to hear that. Other than that, there are 2 of the 3 songs from the Haunting the Chapel EP on here. No Chemical Warfare. That's pretty interesting. But great set list. Pretty cool. In fact, we're going to hear a track from this. Of course, it's going to be Necrophiliac. In my mind, the horror lives, you delve deep inside. The love is lost of rotting flesh, the time to choose the lies. Even all Satan's wrath, may not show demise. But the child outside new life, the soul cannot be free. Not given the chance to rot in hell. So just a quick rundown of the tracks. We have Aggressive Perfector, Face the Slayer, The Final Command, Captor of Sin, Necrophiliac, Cryonics, Fight Till Death, The Antichrist, Haunting the Chapel, Black Magic, Die by the Sword, Evil Has No Boundaries, and Show No Mercy. Just to show you the vinyl, it is in classic black. Very plain labels, but you do get the Slayer logo. Pretty fun. The sound on this is decent. It's a little bit of a mixed bag at times. There are a few tracks that have the vocals and the drums up in the mix, and then the guitars down. It's not too bad. It's not too prohibitive. Also, on Evil Has No Boundaries, there's a bit of a muffled part for a number of seconds, but 1 out of 12 tracks isn't a big deal. Overall, it's pretty decent. So anyways, this is Slayer with Have a Good New Year, Berkeley. Sure, why not? Next up is Metallica with Deal With It. This came out in 2018. It was limited to 700 copies. There were a few color variants. I believe orange was one, white was one, blue is another one. Blue is the one I've got. We'll see that later. There was also a picture disc variant, and there was a splatter variant. The splatter variant is numbered and very limited edition, I guess. This was recorded at the Meadowlands in East Rutherford, New Jersey, April 21st, 1986, which of course makes this the Master of Puppets tour, as the cover probably gives away. Quick track listing here. We've got the Ecstasy of Gold. Metallica shows always open with that from there on out. We got Battery, Master of Puppets, For Whom the Bell Tolls, Ride the Lightning, Seek and Destroy, Creeping Death, Am I Evil, and ends with Damage Incorporated. There is a track missing here from the set list that night. Welcome Home Sanitarium isn't here, but it was played that night. I don't know if it was time constraints on the record. I probably would have dropped Seek and Destroy to fit Welcome Home Sanitarium. I think it's a better track. I'm also not a big fan of Seek and Destroy, and only because I had to do it 10 zillion times in bands. And it's kind of funny, if you're a musician, you've probably done a cover song to death that you just don't want to hear it anymore. So that's how that goes. Other than that, it is the Special Alcoholica Club Edition, whatever the hell that means. Of course, since this is the Master of Puppets tour, Cliff Burton's on here on bass. He sounds amazing, totally clear. You can hear him. It's really cool. So great track selection here. In fact, let's hear one of those great tracks. This is Creeping Death.
Slaves who were born to serve, to the Pharaoh, beat to his everywhere, live in fear, something must be done. For 100 years. So let it be written, so let it be done. Can't survive until then one. So let it be written, so let it be done. You kill the first barbarian son, and we begin.
Just get a good look at the labels here. Deal with it. Also, full track listing on the back. Kirk and/or James hit a few sour notes here and there. I'm not sure if they've been drinking, but that's there. It's not too distracting. Overall, it's a pretty kick-ass show. Kick-ass tour, of course. They were probably opening for Ozzy at the time, I believe. At least in the US. I'm not sure who they were opening for in Europe. But you get to hear Cliff. Again, clear sounding bass. I love that. And overall, again, kick-ass show. Definitely worth it. Next up is Mercyful Fate with Southern Eruptions of Evil. Came out in 2020. It was released through Trademark of Quality, but not the original Trademark of Quality. That company started in the 1970s. They're a very known bootleg company. This is another company sliding in under that name, which is pretty curious because that basically is a bootleg label counterfeiting themselves as another bootleg label. How's that? Anyways, this was recorded in February of 1984. I believe it was the 25th in Napoli, Italy. Is that pronounced correctly? I don't know. You Italians will obviously correct me. Great track listing. I'm going to go through it quickly. It starts with Black Masses, Curse of the Pharaohs, Evil, Satan's Fall. The 11-minute song is on here. It's pretty amazing. Into the Coven. 2 tracks here from Don't Break the Oath. Don't Break the Oath wasn't out yet, but they're here. Gypsy and the Oath are here. Pretty cool. Early versions of those. At the Sound of the Demon Bell, A Corpse Out Soul. And curiously, it ends with a guitar solo from Hank Sherman. I don't know if the show ends with a guitar solo, but this bootleg does. So I couldn't find a set list for this particular show, but I did find one from the night before. And at that show, they opened with Doomed by the Living Dead, which would have been amazing to hear live. It's not here, obviously. I don't know if it was time constraints on the record. Sometimes that's the reason. Sometimes they just don't have a good copy of it. Or maybe they didn't play it that night, which would have been pretty strange. But that was on the original set list. Also, there was a poster with some copies of this bootleg. I did not get that particular copy. Don't know what the poster looks like. I hope it says really cool artwork, which is pretty astounding. We should probably take another look at it. It's a volcano. Amazing. Also, yeah, we should definitely go through a track here. Going to play one of my favorite Mercyful Fate songs. It is Curse of the Pharaohs. Vinyl for this one is 2LP orange marbled vinyl. Different picture on all 4 sides. Also, there are no side indicators. Your best bet is to start with the Don't Break the Oath at side A. And the B side and the D sides always have the darker picture of King Diamond on them. So that's how you figure out side A, B, C, D. Otherwise, you would never know. Sound is decent. The guitars are pretty clear. King's voice does clip out every once in a while, not too often. And when it does, the band drowns out just a tiny bit. But overall, it's very listenable. Also, great songs, great artwork. It's an amazing time for this band. I love Mercyful Fate. It's the Melissa tour. I love it. Next up is Judas Priest with Somewhere Under the Rainbow. Came out in 2019 by Yellow Dog Records. You might remember Yellow Dog. I mentioned them last episode. They're the ones who put out the Danzig demos. I believe it was Live Without a Net. So you get a bit of quality with Yellow Dog, at least so far as the records I've heard. Pretty cool. The rainbow is in reference to the venue. The venue was Rainbow Music Hall in Denver, Colorado in June 25th, 1980. I did buy this in Boulder, Colorado, which is kind of interesting. Give you a quick track listing here. It starts with Hellbent for Leather, goes into The Ripper, Running Wild, Living After Midnight, Beyond the Realms of Death, Grinder, You Don't Have to Be Old to Be Wise, Victim of Changes, Stealer, and Tyrant. There are 3 tracks missing from this recording. This night they played Sinner, Genocide, and Green Man Alicia with a 2-pronged crown. I would have minded hearing one of those songs in place of You Don't Have to Be Old to Be Wise. Not really excited about that song. I know they played it because it's the British Steel Tour. I get it, but maybe Green Man Alicia would have been better there. Maybe Sinner. Great tracks. I would have tried to fit both of them in there, to be honest. Also, this is the first night they played Living After Midnight live, was this particular show. Of course, since this is the British Steel Tour, I would have loved to have heard Metal Gods and Rapid Fire at this show. It wasn't played, but I would have liked to have heard it. Beyond the Realms of Death is here, though. A fantastic song from Stained Class. I love every time they do it live. Fantastic track. So let's definitely hear something from this record. This is Grinder. Quick look at the labels. On the clear vinyl here, matches the jacket quite nicely. Halford's a little low in the mix on the first song, and then he comes up on track 2. Also, the bass doesn't really pick up auditorially until the 3rd track. I think the sound guy was doing sound check during the show, it seemed. But not too bad. It's not a big deal. Great bootleg, great tour, British Steel. Who doesn't love that tour? So anyways, there it is. Judas Priest. Somewhere Under the Rainbow. Next up is Anthrax with Boston Breakout. This came out in 2020, released by Parachute Recording Company. It's a European bootleg label. This was recorded on August 8th, 1993, so this is the tour for the Sound of White Noise album. It does say Boston, but this isn't recorded in Boston. It was recorded in Fitchburg, Massachusetts, which is roughly an hour outside the city. It's a college town. In fact, John Bush jokes in between songs of how many people are really from Fitchburg, because, you know, it's going to be the Boston crowd. It's going to be other surrounding areas. Pretty funny. This was an FM broadcast. It was broadcast on WBCN, which is a rock station in Boston. That's pretty cool. Do want to show you there is a gatefold. You don't see gatefolds of bootlegs very much. You get a picture of the band, and there's a brief bio of the band, where they were, where they are at this point, also where, you know, who recorded it, full track listing, and all of that. In fact, let's go through the tracks quickly. We have Potter's Field, Caught in a Mosh, Got the Time, Room for One More, Belly the Beast, AIR, Keep It in the Family, Black Lodge, Antisocial, My Pro Glow, In My World, Only, Indians, Starting Up a Posse, Pipeline, So What You Want, and Bring the Noise. So for the most part, I love hearing John Bush cover his own era of Anthrax songs, but the Joey Belladonna tracks that he does, kind of touch and go. I don't mind his version of AIR. I don't mind his version of In My World. The rest of them are kind of whatever. Interestingly enough, between AIR and Keep It in the Family, there's a partial performance, I guess, of Parasite, the cover song by Kiss. It fades out early. That's kind of irritating. Also, Starting Up a Posse and So What You Want are kind of annoying on this record. I'd rather they not be here. Also, no one wants to hear John Bush rap. It's just not a thing. Bring the Noise, we can drop that song. It's awful. In fact, I would replace Bring the Noise with This Is Not an Exit, which is off Sound of White Noise. In fact, it ends that record. It'd be cool if it ended the show. It would make sense. But yeah, other than that, it's pretty decent. So let's hear a snippet from a Sound of White Noise track. This is Room for One More.
One more chance to believe.
Labels on this one look just like the jacket, so they're in theme, including the fake Anthrax logo. I'm actually a fan of Sound of White Noise. I know some of the older Anthrax fans are not, which is a shame. It's a really good record. I think John Bush really excels on it. So I was pretty excited to get this, just to hear the live versions from that album. I am taking a star away from the sound quality because there is a little lack of high end in the mix. Also, I did want to talk about Frank Bello's bass playing. It's always amazing. It's clear as hell on this record. That solo during Got the Time, God, that thing kills. Anyways, this is Anthrax with Boston Breakout, but really in Fitchburg. Next up is Ozzy Osbourne with Speak of the Devil Tour 1983. This was released by Rock Brigade Records out of Japan. Obviously, there's the Obi strip. 3 sides of this record are from the US Festival that Ozzy played at. And then the 4th side of this record are versions from the Ritz in New York City. That was the second of 2 nights where Speak of the Devil album was recorded, the live album full of Sabbath covers. This is the soundboard recording of that night. I'm going to get a little bit into it later as to what the differences are there. But quick track listing here. Diary of a Madman intro goes into Over the Mountain, Mr. Crowley, Crazy Train, Suicide Solution, Revelation, Mother Earth, Steal Away the Night. There's a Tommy Aldridge drum solo, goes into I Don't Know, Flying High Again, Fairies Wear Boots, Iron Man, Children of the Grave, Paranoid. That's the US Festival, and then the Ritz show is Symptom of the Universe, Snowblind, Black Sabbath, and Fairies Wear Boots. The US Festival is a pretty cool show. The entire set list is here, so there are no missing tracks. Of course, this is with Jakey Lee on guitar. He's amazing. He's the star of the show, realistically. It's certainly not Ozzy. Ozzy's voice cracks a zillion times, and you know Ozzy. He's more of a performer than a singer. He does more magic in the studio than he does live. We all know that. Also, we have Don Airey on keyboards this time. His keyboards are okay. They're a little bit poppy sounding, a little overwhelming sometimes in the mix, but not too bad. Also, Bob Daisley on bass, pretty cool. One thing I didn't really dig in this track listing was Steal Away the Night. I don't really need that live. I might have replaced it with Believer, just to get that Bob Daisley bass intro in there. That would have been pretty cool. There is a preponderance of Blizzard of Oz tracks on here. I think there are 6 of them versus 2 Diary of a Madman tracks, which is really weird considering this is the Diary tour. But yeah, that's probably what I would change. So let's hear a bit of one of the only 2 full tracks from Diary. This is Over the Mountain. So vinyl for this one is 2 LP gold. I love that Godzilla is on the labels. How Japanese, right? There you go there. Also, there are some inclusions here. The Japanese are often generous with that in their releases. So I just want to go through some of that. There are a bunch of flyers here, a bunch of little handbills for the different releases. There's obviously Ozzy there. We also have Motley Crue, early Motley Crue stuff. That's pretty cool. Got some Van Halen going on there. Motorhead. Who doesn't love Motorhead? And Savatage. That's pretty cool. You don't see that often enough. Also, there is a poster in here. And it is looking a whole lot like that. Again, a bootleg with all this stuff. It's great. I love the Japanese. They always do it right. Just want to talk about the Ritz show again. Of course, this is the second of 2 nights. Ozzy's voice cracks a lot. A great deal in this one. He pulls away from the mic a lot, and it's no secret that Ozzy re-recorded a lot of his vocals for Speak of the Devil, which are the final versions of these tracks. But you get to hear the soundboard recording of it and all of his screw-ups. That's kind of fun. Also, the in-between song banter is pretty cool. It's also unedited and uncensored. You'll recognize some parts of it, but obviously there were some things that were taken out for the official live album. So it's fun to hear it here. So overall, I love the material from both of the shows. Of course, I'm a big fan of Ozzy's first 3 albums, as well as Speak of the Devil. I love that era of Ozzy. It's the era I very much prefer to hear. So this sits in that era nice and neat for me. So there it is. So at this point, we should talk about official bootlegs. Of course, this is Kiss with Off the Soundboard, Tokyo 2001. Came out in 2021. It's a 3 LP set. The show is from the Tokyo Dome, Tokyo, Japan, March 13th, 2001. Pretty good quality. We're going to get into the sound quality a little bit later on this one. But we should talk about official bootlegs. They're a contradiction in terms. It's either official or it's a bootleg. Companies do this for a lot of reasons. They're probably trying to get in on the cachet of bootleg, all that. So it's a gimmick. It's a marketing ploy sometimes. Also, sometimes they're trying to run the other bootleggers out by putting out a much higher quality version, a cleaned up version with colored vinyl, limited edition, all that kind of stuff. We'll look at the vinyl in a bit. There are a lot of reasons to do this. I like the idea of them making a little bit more money off of these recordings because obviously with bootlegs, they're not. Do like the lineup here. This is Gene Simmons, Paul Stanley, Ace Frehley, and Eric Singer. By this time, Peter Criss is out of the band yet again. I think this is the strongest lineup of the reunion era. Eric Singer is an amazing drummer, much better than Peter Criss, and it shows on this collection. So I should mention this is the entire set list for this show, no missing tracks. Go through them quickly. Detroit Rock City, Deuce, Shout It Out Loud, Talk to Me, I Love It Loud, Firehouse, Do You Love Me, Calling Dr. Love, Heaven's on Fire, Let Me Go Rock and Roll, Shock Me, Psycho Circus, Lick It Up, God of Thunder, Cold Gin, 100,000 Years, Love Gun, I Still Love You, Black Diamond, I Was Made for Loving You, and Rock and Roll All Night. Of course, we get 2 Ace tracks on here, which is really great. We got Shock Me, and then we have Talk to Me. Talk to Me is kind of interesting. It's a song you don't really expect live, especially these days, so that's pretty cool. Of course, I can't play you a track from this because obviously it's Kiss and it's Universal Music Group and YouTube has a content ID system that'll flag it. So unfortunately there's that. But I did want to give you a little bit of look at the vinyl itself. I like how they do this sort of plain brown cardboard, gives more of that bootleg quality, even though some of the bootlegs I've already shown you have full color covers and all of that. But anyways, clear vinyl with this rather spoogey color thing going on. All 3 records look like this, except for record 3. Record 3 is kind of a curiosity in that instead of white and clear, it has a little bit of a bluish tint to it. I don't know if you can see that. Everyone got this basically. I've never heard of anyone who didn't have record 3 have a slight blue tint to it. So I don't know if that's a manufacturer defect or it was planned that way or whatever, but that's what you get. So the sound quality is good, but it's not live album quality. Might be why they're calling it a bootleg. Why not? Doesn't matter. One point of contention here is that Ace Frehley's solos seem a little low in the mix. A lot of people have noticed that. And of course, some people have also posited that's a grand conspiracy that Gene and Paul did that in post. Whatever. It's fine. It's not a big deal. So this is actually purported to be a series, an ongoing series of Kiss bootlegs released by the band. That's actually pretty cool. I have a lot of Kiss bootlegs that are of questionable quality. I'd like to hear some soundboard recordings from those shows cleaned up and put on limited edition vinyl because clearly I'm going to buy each and every one of them. So there you go. And that's it for recent bootleg finds. Of course, if you're into bootlegs, you should let me know that. Let me know which ones are your favorites from the ones I showed, or maybe the ones you have. Also, tell me about some of your sources for getting bootlegs. I know they're kind of tough to find. Sometimes you find them in record stores, sometimes you find them on eBay, sometimes even Facebook is selling them, or people on Facebook. So let me know all of that, and anything else that makes sense in the comments below. Of course, if you're into metal vinyl collecting in general, you've come to the right place. This is the Accusation Network. That's what I do each and every week. Check out all my playlists. I have over a dozen different types of shows in that range of things. I do vinyl hauls. I do upcoming metal vinyl notices. I do everything. So definitely check out those playlists. Like, subscribe, and share, of course, because this is YouTube, and I'm going to tell you that. So yeah, do all that. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.